Welcome back, everybody. If for some reason you've been living under a rock and you don't know what's going on in Yu-Gi-Oh right now, we're getting Maxx in the TCG. Can you guys believe it? The card is called Mulcharmy. This is a card that if you control no cards, you can discard it from your hand, and then each time your opponent normal or special summons from their hand, you get to draw a card. Then during the end phase, if the number of cards you have in your hand is more than the number of cards your opponent controls plus 6, you discard down until you have that many in your hand. This is Maxx, but actually kind of balanced.
Yeah.
So, we're gonna talk about it today. How do you guys feel of getting this mini Maxx introduced into our Western game?
Perulia, I'm not that much against. I think Perulia is quite okay because it only really hurts a certain amount of decks. It's not an auto-include against every deck. Some decks just normal summon one card and then they don't special summon from their hand anymore, and then it's just an upstart goblin with a potential downside. Mm-hmm. So, in that scenario, it's not so good. If you think at like, for example, Snake Eye, they give you maybe 3, potentially 4 draws, but rather 3 draws in one turn with that card. And that's 3 draws of one card. That is bannably bad.
Yeah, it's still really good, obviously, yeah.
Unless you're playing Flunder, this card is really okay. Against Flunder, it's always a draw 3, so like...
It's what we've all been waiting for, Flunder hate. Konami's answered our prayers.
I mean, anything to annoy Flunder players, right? Like, no matter wherever they are by now, but like...
A lot of threads online always like had like their way of managing how Maxx can be balanced, and one of the most common thing that was brought up was make it so you can only activate it if you have no cards on the field.
That is a big one with Perulia. A lot of people are saying that it's a huge difference between Maxx, because obviously you could build your whole board going first and then drop Maxx on your opponent going second. And at that point, it's like, oh, well, you have a whole board and you're drawing a card every time they special summon. Like, what can they do at that point, right?
That's the worst case scenario about Maxx, and that's like what most people hate, like really hate about that card. So that's good design here. Also, if, in case you somehow manage to, I don't know, normal summon 10 times and then only end on one monster, they randomly discard. The issue is they most likely draw into their hand traps, they throw these out first, then they have like 6 cards left in their hand, they keep all of it, and all of what they have is just engine, it's just gas.
But the cards that you discard just goes to the graveyard, or do you put them back into the deck?
We're not nerfing Maxx by also putting a painful choice inside the effect. That would,
I thought. I was like, wait.
Yeah, that would not work.
Are you guys sure that it's not worse?
It is a very strange effect just in terms of like semantics though for me to like read the effect and be like, the amount of cards your opponent controls plus 6. It's like, you can see the Konami play testers like in the lab. They're like, +4, +5, +6, +7. Oh no, that's too much. It's +6. That makes the card balanced, right?
Also because like +6, they need to special summon like 4 times from hand, or normal summon or special summon from hand 4 times, and end on 1 or 0 monsters for you to have to discard. And like that's why I don't think the drawback on this card will trigger most of the time.
I don't think so either. I think +6 is a relatively large enough number that you shouldn't really be too worried about having to put cards back.
Exactly. With like for Master Duel comparison, like if you with Maxx, it's either you only ever draw like until you have either 6, 7, or 8 cards. No one else will dare to go much further, actually. And even that is risky already, but or the other thing is then someone takes the challenge and just wants to outdeck you, and then you're drawing 50,000 cards. So
yeah, that's a great point, because I know, Johnny, you're very experienced in the TCG. Leoni, you're obviously very experienced in Master Duel. So do we think the Mulcharmy cards are kind of leaning us into this idea that in the OCG or in Master Duel, it might finally be time to ban Maxx? What do we think about that? Or is the writing on the wall, or what?
I mean, not with this card, but the other Mulcharmy that was announced, which is just this one and much stronger, which has the exact same effect. Instead, it just triggers on extra deck or main deck special summons, which is so much more broken than normal summon and special summon from hand. That card, together with Maxx, like imagining a meta where people play 3 Maxx, 3 of that Mulcharmy, called by, cross out, and 3 Ash in every deck because you have to, that sounds really bad. So
You're not gonna only play Mulcharmy or only play Maxx. If they're both legal, you're just gonna play 6 and have all of them, right?
and hope one of them just stops the opponent's turn.
Yeah, and you'll see it that much more often and you'll draw that many more cards.
They definitely are an attempt at slowing the game down, but I think because they made them so restrictive, it's kind of failed. Because you don't play these cards in your main deck. You don't want to go first and have Purulia in your hand, which you can't activate. So it's a side deck card. So if these cards are only in your side deck, you're not going to play a deck that, or like you're not going to focus your deck around playing around this card, because game 1 you're never going to get it. So you're not going to play super slow decks because game 1 you're hoping to go first and just play your fast deck.
That's true, but I feel like it should be like to actually main deck it or put it into side deck, it should at least be as good as Maxx. I mean, the fact that it's balanced is good for the game, but not really for you to really capitalize on that. I mean, with Maxx it's like, okay, it's like an earth monster or whatever, but like and an insect, so it's like not really a searchable thingy. But like also I feel like with this it's the same. So like the water archetype is a bit underpowered in YuGiOh, I feel like, at least. I don't know.
There is a lot of
people
saying, you know, like we got all this Fire King stuff and Snake Eye stuff, and like they're going hard on the fire, so like another year or so, next thing they're going hard on might be water. We might have Water Kings and I don't know what would Snake Eye, like Crocodile Eye will be the new deck that's like top tier, and it's just a water version of Snake Eye that suddenly becomes unstoppable.
It's like all of the reptiles, turtle eyes, salamander eyes. Yeah.
Why stop at eyes? Go for every part.
Go for salamander arms. My favorite deck.
I mean, they have been doing like Year of the Fire and kind of. I think we are definitely going to get more about that, one each year for each attribute. But my issue with these cards is they're clearly an attempt at trying to make cards that are like Maxx, that have a meta-defining impact at slowing the game down because our game is too fast.
Yeah.
But then making a card that is only side deckable because you can't main deck it, that's not going to be able to properly define the meta, because at least 33 to 66% of your games will be played without that card.
Yeah, already, if it's not seen in game 1 at all, that's like half the games you ever play almost, right? Like it's just, you're not going to see it as often if it's only a going second card. I just want to know, Team Maxx, Team Ban, who's who? Let's talk about it.
I am very happy that thing does not exist, that Maxx is the reason why I don't play Master Duel.
Okay, at all? You don't play Master Duel at all?
I've played a bit and I got really tired of playing a mini game within YuGiOh like, oh, I drew Maxx, did you draw your Ash Blossom? You did not, I win the duel.
Yeah.
Oh, you drew Maxx, haha, I have my called by, I win the duel. Like, putting that, it's like, you have that dice roll, which is already such a luck-based mechanic, and then on top of that you have Maxx. It's not the gameplay that I like. So for me, Maxx can stay banned. Purulia is okay. I'm not sure about the other Mulcharmy. That one does seem really just like Maxx at home.
I don't have a huge problem with Maxx. I don't mind, but I also haven't lived through any of the trauma. Like I met Maxx in Master Duel for the first time, and that was the same time when I met a Link monster. So I was like, I was already kind of like
everything's
hoping.
broken anyways.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what is even going on?
You guys
like,
got no rules anymore. It's the wild, wild west.
Exactly. So I was like, yeah, you keep drawing cards, I guess, because you did what? You threw away a card from your hand? That's allowed? Like, I feel like it's not too big of an issue personally in the matches that I've been doing. But
yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree that in Master Duel, it's actually okay. Like, it's one of those things that we were talking about Mulcharmy being much worse going first. Like, you basically can't use it if you go first. So in Master Duel, you won't be able to play Purulia, really, because it's a best of one format. You can't main deck it, whereas with Maxx, it's a little more like, okay, it's always live, and like it's best of one. I gotta claw my way back into this game any way I can. Like, if I can't stop your combo, at least I'll get some cards. Regardless of what happens with Maxx, do you think these Mulcharmy cards are a sign that potentially other hand traps will get these sort of retrains? to have more restrictions or be less usable, such as a card like Ash Blossom that we've been playing for 10 years, is maybe that too generic? Are we gonna get a new Ash style card that maybe has a couple more restrictions on it?
If you look at all the hand traps that we're playing, like most of the hand traps that we're playing, they are like 10 years old. Like Crow, Veiler, Ash, they're all like comparatively ancient. They're ancient cards, and they're still played because they were made without restrictions. They were made so that every deck can play them. They were made so that they are very easily applicable in all situations. And because of that, we kind of went into this situation that we had back in GOAT, where every deck had like 12 of the same spells because they were just so good. Nowadays, every deck just plays a certain amount of hand traps. And what they're doing with these, at least they're trying to do something with restrictions. The same with the new traps, the one that you can either only play if you don't activate light, wind and earth, or dark, fire and water effects for the rest of the game. One of them you can activate if your opponent searches something, and one of them you can activate if your opponent special summons. These cards are trying to do what Ash does or what Bell does in a slightly different way, which is not as easily applicable to every scenario in the game. You're just going to be like, oh, I have 3 slots open, I'm just going to throw some Ash in there.
Yeah.
But there's still...
No. You say, I'm going to build a new deck. I have 0 cards in my
Ash.
deck. Here's 3 Ash immediately. Like
3 Ash and then 4 cards that are also like Ash, and all of them also 3 times.
I mean, that's the point we're at, right? It's just like you have your 12 hand traps that just don't change. Like you just 3 Ash, 3 Impern, like 3 Veiler, whatever else. You just have to start there because you're like, I know I need these. I cannot play modern Yu-Gi-Oh without these in my deck because it just doesn't work.
Potentially, these cards will enable a playstyle where going second is actually an approach. Like we already have, we had going second Sprite that just played 3 Raigekis, 3 Lightning Storm, evenly matched and everything, and just hoped to break through a board. So I think it's a step in the right direction to trying to enable these kind of plays, but I just think they're too strong right now.
The last thing I wanted to mention, Infinite Forbidden cards, we're talking about it. We have to mention the Fiend Smith stuff. Fiend Smith, Engraver, the 1-card combos. How do we feel about Engraver?
I mean, I don't like 1-card combos. That's not something that is fun, and we can see that also with the prices. I think the Fiend Smith engine right now is $350, and it's 5 cards. It's 5 cards.
Yeah, literally.
You still have 35 cards left after that to build your deck with. I think it could be cool if it was more restrictive, if you were only locked into Fiends, and it would be good with YuGiOh. But whenever I have a deck that doesn't use much of the extra deck and that has a bit more room for non-engine, I can now think, I'll just throw 5 Fiendsmith in there, I can start my combo, end on Appaloosa, and I'm nip-proof. I don't think that's healthy for the game.
It's all kind of part of the same problem I have with the modern game. It's anything that's so generic and so good. It's the same reason Borreload, I was so happy to see Borreload go. All these generic extra deck cards or 1-card engines or generic hand traps even, it's the same thing. It's any deck you build, these cards go in first because they're all so strong and everyone can play them, so why would you not play them? Any sort of generic 1-card starters like Engraver that obviously are going to be €100 when they come out because they're so good and everyone can play them and everyone can use them. It makes every game of Yu-Gi-Oh you play feel the same because you're playing against different decks, but they all feel like the same deck because they're all playing the same cards. 15 or 20 or 30 of the same cards.
And the worst thing about these cards being added to Snake Eye is if you have 2 hand traps now, and they have something like Snake Eye Ash and Witch, your 2 hand traps lose to Snake Eye Ash Witch. They just go into Moon, then go full Snake Eye combo, full Fiendsmith combo, and then they can put cards into their graveyard, I think the Sinful Spoils, and they can search Poplar, and then they're in combo again.
Yeah, then they're back. And Another problem, because they printed this generic Link 2 monster that suddenly enables your whole Fiend Smith engine, it's like, oh, so any deck that can have 2 monsters on the field can just Fiend Smith combo. I wonder how many decks in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Can put 2 monsters on the field,
And
right?
the best thing is, in the OCG, they don't have a certain card that we have. We have like some new Fusion TCG exclusive, which is like a Princess, which is a contact fusion that needs 1 monster equipped with a monster card and a Fiend monster card. It even says Fiend monster card. It doesn't say Fiend monster. And then you end on a certain scenario where you have like Fiend Smith and Graver on the field equipped with the Requiem from the graveyard.
Yeah.
This counts as both materials for that fusion, so it's basically just a Link 1. You just put it on the field. Then Fiend Smith and Graver triggers, you can special summon him back, you have 2 level 6s and you have full combo.
It's not good. It's just such a weird spot for the game right now. So to see them trying to like do this new sort of hand trap design and balance it and make it more restrictive, it seems like we're going in a better direction for the future. I could be wrong, but I'm hopeful that we will not be playing a Snake Eye meta with 20 hand traps a couple months from now.
Not after the August ban list. I mean, hopes are Snake Eye gets severely hit and maybe things like Apo and Beatrice go. Because if Apo and Beatrice go, the things that you can do with the Fiend Smith engine also get much worse. You can't just mill whatever you want as your starter. You can't just, before you play your turn, end on an Apo. You can go into Caesar, but Caesar is much more, it's a really strong card, but it's like you can't Caesar and Ash. You can Apo and Ash.
But why do you want Beatrice to get hit, not just the card that's responsible for all that?
Because Beatrice has been a problematic card
I know.
ever since
But
it got
I like
released.
her though. I like her. She's fun, and I don't like when
Especially-
cards get banned just because another card is too broken.
Yeah, but like especially because it's not gonna be the most common play that people do, but really Beatrice into mill any trap plus rollback.
I know.
It's just
I know.
it's so boring.
Yeah,
Just-
it is. That's the thing. It's boring, it's samey. It's all this generic crap that they put in the extra deck that every deck can make, and then it's like, I don't want to see I don't want to see Beatrice. I don't want to see Appaloosa anymore. Like, just I hate seeing them in all my games. It's too much. Like,
You need to use that hate and channel it into making better choices in the game, and then you can crush them. I believe in you.
I mean, I would love to. I just want, like, give me archetype specific boss monsters
All right.
that are strong enough that make me not want to play Appaloosa. All these decks like revolve around getting this big meatball out, and then it's like, well, why would
It's the same meatball.
Why would I bother? Like, I can just make Appaloosa. Like, I don't need this spicy meatball that's Sword Soul flavored. I just make the Appo, and then I'm done, and I'm in a better spot for it. So that's an extra step beyond what we're even talking about. Hopefully, we get more restrictive hand traps, which goes hand in hand with less powerful generic summons, 1-card combos that actually look different depending on what deck they're in would be great. And I think we'd be in a pretty good spot at that point.
Or just everyone plays Whiteroot Runic and, you know.
Yeah, we'll see about that, I guess. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let us know down below what you think of the new Mulcharmy cards. If you like Maxx, if you hate it, and if you are going to be spending €300 on Fiend Smith. Have a good night. Bye. My problem with Maxx artwork is like you don't even see it, you know? It's just like a picture of a dresser.
Yeah.
So
it's
you
like
can't
you can
Maxx
see the
it,
eyes below the
the
dresser.
tiny little sparkles, and that's
so you're
it.
not able to Maxx it.